Hey guys, welcome to Technical English 2, and today we're going to see WH questions. So, what do you mean by WH questions? It's going to be a short lecture today, so hope you all listen carefully. So, let's get into it. First, so basically questions which starts with WH are called WH questions. You have to know that when I say who, it's always like a person. Who is she? Who's that? So we are always referring to a person when we say who. And the same way, when I say what, is always a thing or an action. What is that? What is he doing? So all these things will refer to what. Then when it comes to when, you're talking about time. Like, when is the lunch? When is the movie on? So you're gonna ask about time when you ask when. The same way, where is always place. Where is this park? Where is this college? So it's always a place. Similarly, the other thing is about how. How is the way something is, or the way something happens. Like, how did that happen? How did he get into an accident? How did they fight? So you want to know what's happening. So you use how during this time. And next is why. Why is like Sherlock Holmes, like asking questions again and again. Why is this way? Why didn't you do your homework? We are asking reasons, and that's when why is used. So let's get into the next slide. Now, so as in a definition, a question is English is introduced. So if you want to ask a question, it's mostly in WH formats, right? But when you do ask a question in WH format, the answer is never yes or no. So when should I be using yes or no? It's like is and are questions, right? Then you use yes or no. But when I use WH questions, usually they don't. They try to give out some information. When you're required to collect some information, that's when WH questions are used. For example, let's see this. So WH questions, they can be what, when, where, who, whom, which, whose, why, and how. All these are the questions. But we don't get like yes or no answers to that. We'll always get information. When I'm trying to get some information, I'm going to use that, right? So, for example, when you finish college, I can never say like yes or no answer to it. I'll say next year, perhaps after 2 years. So they are meant to collect information as such. And then let's see who is your favorite actor. Now, as I already mentioned, when is time and who is people or person. So who is your favorite actor? George Clooney for sure. So you can see you can never answer yes or no. You can only try to get information using WH questions. Now let's get into the grammatical form of it. Pretty simple. So WH, so the question plus an auxiliary verb. It can be or do or have. It's like yes, are, do, have formats. Plus there is a subject and there's a main verb. We'll see examples later. And there is WH plus a modal verb, like what can you do or something like that, right? So WH plus a modal verb plus subject plus verb action. These are the two forms of WH questions. So just make a note of it. Let's see some examples. Now, for example, in B form, when are you leaving? Who's been paying the bills? Or in the do form, where do they live? Why don't you call me? In have form, what has she done now? What have they decided? In modal form, who would she stay with? Where should I park? So you can see from like be verb format how WH is used. The same way in the do verb format, like how do I use WH questions, and similarly have and modal verbs. So now we are clear, and remember we are always trying to collect information. When I use WH questions, it's never one word answers like yes or no. No, you don't do that here. Next, without an auxiliary verb. Now here's a warning, okay? Always grammar has some kind of funny rules. So as I said, grammar has some funny rules. So when, what, who, which, or who is the subject or part of the subject, we do not use the auxiliary. Whenever we use these words like when, what, who, and if it's part of the subject, then we cannot use the auxiliary. So for example, what fell off the wall? See? Which horse won? Who bought this? Whose phone rang? Now for all this, right, these what, whose, they are is the subject or part of the subject, right? So we do not use any auxiliary there. So be clear on that. We'll see examples now. For example, who owns this bag? Can you see who is the subject here of the sentence, and this bag is the object? Right here we do not have auxiliary verb because who belongs to the subject or is part of the subject. And the similar way, the second one, who do you love most? Who's the object of the sentence here, and use the subject. So we use the auxiliary verb do here. So once that who is not in the subject form, then we can use the auxiliary verb do. So always remember, when who or when they belong, when they are the subject or part of the subject, you do not use auxiliary verb. But at the same time, when it doesn't, then you use auxiliary verb. Next. Now, how do you respond to WH questions? So they're basically meant to collect information, right? So we expect an answer. We ask one. So where's the coffee machine? We are expecting the location of that. It's in the room next to the reception. Now, next question is, how old is your dog? So right now, I want to know the age of the dog. She's about 5. I'm not very sure. So there can be no yes or no questions. We need to give a proper response when WH questions are asked. Next. Negative WH questions, of course. Negative, always remember not. Okay, when we ask negative WH questions, so we use auxiliary verb do. When there are no other auxiliary or modal verbs, even when the WH is the subject of the class. Okay, so for example, who wants an ice cream is affirmative. Which door opened? In the negative, we'll always say like, who doesn't want an ice cream? So do form will come. Which door didn't open? The negative form. So if they give you an affirmative sentence, you have to include do, the auxiliary do out here, so they understand better. Who wants an ice cream? So in negative form, who doesn't? Which door open? Which door didn't open? So these are about like negative WH questions. Okay, next. Adding a WH word at the end of a statement to make a question. This mostly is done in spoken English. So what's today's date is usually how we ask, or we can also say today's date is what. So the WH can go to the end. Always remember it'll have a question mark as well. This is basically in the spoken form as such. Next, so this is the example here. We do this especially when we are checking information that we already have given. So these are less formal than full WH questions. So A is asking, so we're all going to be there at 8? So B is telling, right, I'm traveling with Larry. You are traveling with who? C, who comes to the end. But the more formal will be like, who are you traveling with? With Larry. We're actually going on our bikes. Is your sister here too, or just your mother? Just my mother. And she's here until when? Can you see? And she's here until when? So even more formal will be, until when is she here? We are putting the WH back. So this is what WH questions are. I hope you understood. So we don't say yes or no, we give information, and you should know where to use the auxiliary and not to use the auxiliary when WHs are with the subject. Then we don't. but without it we do use auxiliaries, and of course it can be in the front or in the back, but when it's back it's mostly informal. So I hope you understood it. Let's get into the worksheets now. Thank you.